Yes,
Hello.
boys. How we doing?
Log on.
Is audio okay?
Yeah, G.
Yeah, I can hear you all fine.
Medium.
You right, Dan?
I am. Oh, have you started recording yet?
Yeah, it's already recorded.
Right.
Why, are you going to say something dodgy?
No, I was going to do a bong hit, if I'm honest.
Oh, what? A bong hit?
Just
Yeah.
hide the video, it'll be fine. We won't get flagged.
We can cut it out. It's fine.
That's right. It's over here. Mum, I'm not doing a bong hit.
No, as in you can do a bong hit now and then we can restart.
Oh, that sound. Yeah, okay, let's do that one.
Yeah, deal. Go on then.
You guys can keep
By
chatting.
far the best start to a podcast ever.
We got to save the chat for the podcast. It's gold, bro. It's all gold.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Bruv, what is that?
That's bong, bro.
No, what is the
God
assert
damn.
dominance thing? What the
Oh, the
fuck?
assert dominance. This is
I
the
don't know about
backdrop. This is the backdrop that Imogen got me for Christmas.
that. That's quality.
Yeah.
I rate that.
Move back a beanie on.
Absurd. I can't work. Who is that guy?
Who is it? It's some guy from like a Nickelodeon or something or other.
It looks like
Oh,
Grizzly.
yeah, I know. He's from, what's the show called? Where she goes to be the nanny of like all those rich kids, and the one of the kids has got like a lizard or some shit.
Not got a clue.
Bruv, what?
No.
This guy's chatting wass.
I
Luke, are
swear
you sure
this is-
you've not hit bong?
A hit bomb.
Oh mate, I wish.
Bro, is that a bent over row sponsored beanie?
Bro, what's up with everyone calling bent over rows? Why are they abbreviating it now? What's going on with this?
Ball, mate.
Oh,
Anyway, we should probably get on with talking about our boy Daniel here.
Are we going to restart the intro? Or are we just going to start from some bollocks?
I don't
some
know.
bollocks. I reckon start for some bollocks. Keep
Yeah.
it like,
Go on then. We'll just go right into it. So Dan, DP Fit, welcome to the pod, bro. How you feeling?
yeah, pretty good, man. Pretty tired, but you know, blue light. Do you know what? I'll join Luke with the blue light blockers.
Yeah, we
Yeah, bro,
hate blue light.
optimal thing. Do you know what
We
you need
hate
to do as
blue
well?
light.
Turn off the main light and you just want like a little light.
I was gonna do that, but I don't
Ooh.
know if it'll be bright enough because it's tiny as that light there.
Oh shit.
Yeah, if you're not facing it, it'll be mega dark.
I haven't used these in a while.
That's not very optimal, Dan. That's not very optimal.
My sleep routine at the moment is absolutely abysmal. It's terrible.
Why?
It's just like bedtimes are just so scattered. Mate, some days I'm waking up at 12.
Jesus, lad.
Mate,
That is absolutely outrageous.
it'll be all right when uni starts again for me in a week. But until then, it's just kind of just a bit in the bin.
Oh, so you
What
just come
uni
back
are you
early
at?
then?
Wait, say that again?
Have you just come back early then?
Yeah, I came back on the 1st because I had an event at one of the clubs here. And then I've just stayed up ever since. And yeah, we start on the 16th, I think it is.
But that's actually something I was going to ask you about, because you go out like fairly frequently and seem to manage it well. Whereas like me sort of going out seems like a pretty big thing, if that makes sense. So how do you manage that and sort of find the balance between training seriously and also having a good social life?
Yeah, it's a weird one. So in a gaining phase, I kind of have a rule. It's different for everyone, obviously. But for me personally, I'll drink about 2 times a month. And I'll just pick like the biggest social occasion out of everything I've got on my calendar. So sometimes that'll be like a rugby social or with my missus, like whatever it may be. And then other nights out, because I'll go on more nights out than that. It's probably weekly, I'd say. But like I've gone out sober so many times that like it's normal now. Like to me, you ask anyone that goes clubbing, clubbing's not good. Clubbing's not good at all.
Yeah, man.
No one enjoys going
I
clubbing.
back that.
Like, but you go. Everyone goes. You might like. Everyone's like, "Oh, do you want to go club?" Yeah, go on then. And you end up there, and because like it's shit either way. You're either blackout drunk and don't remember any of it, and therefore it's good, or like you get a rare good night, or you're either sober or like tipsy and not really enjoying it. So you just go for a little bit, and then because of that, I usually get home relatively early. If I'm drinking, like I'll stay out late. Like if I'm drinking, it's my off plan for the week as well. So I'll nail that kebab after as well. Don't you worry. But then it's like when I have like nights out, like I went on a ski trip, like I'll just drink all them nights. Like it's like I kind of just do it if it's worth it, if that makes sense to me.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I get what you mean. You're sort of weighing it up beforehand rather than just
Yeah.
going in at every single opportunity. Yeah, I
Obviously,
get what
there's
you mean.
things you can do to minimize like the damage, like have a rest day the next day, or like just like choose like calorie conscious drinks. Whereas I just usually, if I'm honest, choose the drink that gets me pissed the fastest because that's all I drink for. No, drink is not enjoyable. You just drink to get drunk when everyone else is getting drunk. Well, that's a bad thing to say, but like,
No, I get what you mean because there are some that taste absolutely horrific. Like I don't get why people drink tequila because it's horrible.
Yeah,
hate
yeah.
it. Can't do it. Nasty.
disgusting.
Once, no way.
I'm like, what are you doing? I
What
get
is
what
the
you mean
drink of
about
choice
clubbing
on a
though,
night out?
because like I went for New Year's and we literally left like 20 minutes later because it was crap. We went back to the pub and then somebody put "I like to move it on," and that was the highlight. That was the best part of
Where'd
the
you go
entire
for New
night.
Year's?
Just like in my town, if that makes sense.
Oh right, I couldn't tell if you were in like Cov or.
No, I was still at home. We were going to go out in Cambridge, but then we saw that the Ubers were like 50 quid.
That's
I'd
the
rather
problem
not.
around like Essex way, like Cambridgeshire way. Getting home is a nightmare from a night out. I hate it.
Yeah, whereas I suppose like even sort of Coventry, you can just walk home.
I can walk.
you?
You can get an Uber home and it's cheap because there's so many of
Yeah,
them.
it's not too bad.
Oh, we're going to talk
Yeah, I get
about
what you mean.
Luke's night out in Casbah.
Oh,
Oi,
go on then,
what's
expose
this?
me. You remember more of it than I did, bro.
I'm not fucking surprised, mate. Luke just got hammered on his birthday. Absolutely hammered. Well, how did it start? Did you drink before you got to Spoons?
Yeah, I probably had a
Oh
couple
yeah, you
of
did because you
voluntary
put some
Cokes.
Jack Daniels on your story. I remember that.
Oh man, fuck whiskey. Christ.
Oh yeah, maybe it was.
That was what you were
Yeah, I
drinking,
had a
wasn't
couple
it?
of drinks, and then I got some whiskey at Spoons, and then you made me shot that, and then Todd just kept bringing over Jaeger bomb.
You got 3 whiskey shots at Spoons, and you did one. And I was like, "You done one? Like, might it's 3 shots. Like, come on." And then you eventually, after, if I do say so myself, a lot of peer pressure, you did succumb to a second shot of whiskey. But then I was like, you might as well finish it off, and then you bottled it, just like all your sets, Luke. You bottle the last rest.
That is brutal. That is
You're
brutal.
not whiskey is not for shotting, bro.
Why'd you order it as a shot then?
Because I was going to mix it with the Coke that I had.
And then, but with that third shot, I just poured it in your Coke, and you're like, well, I didn't want to do that with that.
Don't question drunk people's logic.
But then we actually did bump into 2 people that work at our gym there. And
Oh,
one of the guys
no.
called Todd. And he came over with a tray. This before we even noticed he was there, like a tray of like 8 Jaeger bombs. I wasn't bevving. I was just stopping by on my walk for a bit. And then what was it? It was like split between 4 of you. You ended up doing 2. And then every time Todd got up, he was like, "More Jaeger bombs." Luke was like, "No." And I was like, "Yeah, get them for Luke." So Luke just ended up absolutely hammered.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't even want to think about how many Jaeger bombs I had that night. It was
Mate, you must have been wired after that.
yeah, the
Fucking
caffeine,
hell.
mate. That's not optimal for your sleep.
Well, so
Yeah,
what
man.
happened was this was probably like 2 or 3 a.m. when we were, I don't know what time, when we were in the club. But my friends were saying to me the next day that I was like bouncing off the walls. And then I literally just stood still and was just like, and then they were like, okay, it's time to go home.
I was surprised you didn't throw up. I actually thought you were gonna.
Mate, there were so many times I thought I was going to throw up, like so many. I don't
Yeah,
know
because
how
I
did.
literally have videos of Luke like after a shot, and I'm like recording. He's like, "No, bro, stop it, bro, stop it." Like, I really have like 10 minutes of videos of Luke just like sat there looking at the floor like burping. I'm like, "Oh god, he's gonna choke."
Oh
No.
no.
Oh, that's
That's
rancid.
savage.
That's rancid.
It was terrible. The only thing that saved you was the food you had beforehand. If you hadn't have had that, that would have definitely come up.
I'm pretty sure I just had like a chicken salad or something like that. I
No,
didn't
no,
have
you had
anything.
a meal out beforehand.
Oh yeah, that was for lunch.
Even still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
that was good. To be fair, that was a good meal.
Oh, was that your
Well, I think
three-course
that was
meal?
the most off-topic we have ever gone on a podcast. I would expect nothing less from you, to be honest.
Oh,
Dan.
mate, bit of personal chit chat. We love it. We love to see it.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, I don't really know too much about your sort of like background and how you got into training and then down the sort of bodybuilding rabbit hole. How did that all happen?
Right, let's throw it back to the very start. I must have been in year 10, 11 ballpark, maybe even year 12 actually. And that was like I was fat all my life, like the chubby little kid. And then it was kind of then it was like a couple of my mates were like going to just like the sick form gym, like absolute shit. If I went there now, I'd probably have a panic attack because it's so shit. But it was just for like weight loss. I had absolutely no idea about training. And it was just from there, it was like unhealthy weight loss, like crash diet, got like really skinny, like skinny fat, and then just got fat again in the second year of A levels. Then first year of uni was like where I started like losing the weight, and then lockdown hit at the end of that year. And then that was when I started getting into actually like going to the gym instead of like cardio steps and stuff like that. And then that was obviously like limited kit training for a while, training like absolute piss, like terribly, like worse than I could ever imagine. And then the gyms opened up and I got a membership when I came back to uni. And that was when I was at Future. And that was like where I was like first introduced to like progressive overload. But my form was still like terrible, like obviously nowhere near failure or anything. And then I kind of just like went back and forth between the gym, like stopped doing it in the second year. And then on my placement year, I was into it a little bit. And then I followed Lewis Jones on Instagram. Obviously, Luke, you'll know them. I don't know if you two know them.
Lewis Future Physiques.
Oh, that rings a bell.
He's wham.
Let me look the guy
Yeah,
up.
you will, if you see him, you'll know who we're talking about.
Yeah. He used to be, what did he win Natty? Did he win the overall for like UK DFBA? I think he did. For novice or something.
I'm not sure. I'm honestly not
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it was either
I know
like
this
novice or
guy.
junior or something like that. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
Nuts natty bodybuilder, but now he's assisted. Anyway, I followed him and I'd seen him at the gym like when I trained at Future, like my first or second year, whatever it was. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I followed him on Instagram. Then I came across Reese, and they were literally the only two people I knew in the space. And I was like, oh, you know what? I can like, so for me, getting a coach was about it being financially viable from where I was in placement and continuing it. Like, I just thought you'd just have to keep having a coach. Didn't realize you didn't really need one after like, I've done a whole gaining phase with Reese. So like, I know how to coach myself if I needed to. But at that point, it was like, I know these two. Reese was a little bit cheaper at the time. So I was like, okay, I'll go with Reese. And then that was literally the only like exposure I'd had into the bodybuilding world. And like Reese taught me like the basics. Like I literally knew nothing. Like I knew about protein, about like a little bit about nutrition, about calories and everything, but I didn't understand like why you'd make certain manipulations. Wouldn't have done a successful gain phase on my own. I would have just like the one before where I was going gym, I just got really fat.
Yeah,
But
because you think, oh, bulking, that just means eat loads, and then you end up gaining kilos per week.
yeah, mate, it was to the point where this was in between second year and placement year. So year and a bit ago now. And I thought the steps on your little watch and the calories burned were accurate. So I was like, I'll eat them back. Literally, when I say I was clueless when I joined Reese, like I was like, didn't have any of like, didn't follow anyone on TikTok. Like I hadn't seen any of this optimal stuff. Like it was literally from the ground, like learning what failure is. You know, I had like okay form, learn about volume, like train to failure, train accurately. And like even like 6 months in, I wouldn't say I trained well. Like I was really still learning, getting to that point. And then I'd only say like over the past like 3-ish, 4 months, my execution's got where it needs to be. And like, so I'd say like this gaining phase, maybe I'd actually do a bit better in the gym. But like before, like I was just like not optimal, not my optimal, as people say, you know, when you find that balance. But now I feel like I am. So fun times.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And where sort of along that journey did you decide, like, actually, I quite like posing?
Oh, God. When would that have been? I would have said relatively early.
Because we went to the posing seminar. What would it have been? The middle of this year, wasn't it? Something like that.
Honestly, it was probably like, I'm gonna go back from my Instagram now, but it was probably only a few months into Reese. Like it was like at that point, it was the reason I got a coach was like I was like I want to compete one day. Like I want to like I know people say like you should like love the lifestyle and compete as a byproduct. Like I buy into that to some degree, but I also want to compete once at least. Like maybe I'll love it, but just to say like I've been there, done that. Like I put my mind through that and I did it successfully. Like almost like as like a bucket list kind of thing. And maybe I will love it. And like I do like living the bodybuilding lifestyle, but yeah, that was when I got a coach, and then I probably got into posing about 2-3 months later, and then it like became like an actual thing where I wanted to go to like posing seminars and like actually get good at it. But it just started as just like enjoying doing the mandatories. I was like, oh well, if I enjoy this, like I might as well go on with it. But I'm gonna give you the date of the first posing reel I posted. It was 21st of March, about 3 months into coaching.
Send it to me. I want to go back and watch it.
It's not like a routine, it's just a few clips like strung together.
Oh, right.
But
Right.
oh god, yeah, I'll send it to you anyway. It's just
Do you have a first one that's a routine?
I have a couple like I must have archived my first routine because it must have been a pile of shit. Not great now, like
Mate, I watched my stage routine back the other week and I'm like, that was horrific. Like, what was
why have I
doing?
never seen that? I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, come on.
It's on my page, but it's like a year and a half.
But you
back,
post
way.
like 50 times a day.
Yeah, I post 6 times a week, so it's quite a way back.
That's quite impressive, especially because you have that like scheduled out. I couldn't do that.
Well, yeah, I do it all on a Friday and then like film the videos or whatever needs to be done, write the post, and then schedule it all in, because otherwise, like, I'll have just finished at the gym at the time that I would normally post, if that makes sense. So I can't really sit down then. It just makes sense with uni and all of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is that how you do yours as well, Jack, or do you just sort of do yours on the day?
No, man, I have to schedule it in advance. Like you said, because I normally post like 6 or 7, I'll finish training around 5. And the last thing that I want to do when I get home from the gym is sit in front of the camera and try to be extroverted. Like I just want to go and crawl into a hole and like exist there for a few hours. So I always do them on a rest day for the week ahead.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Got to be
And
done.
going back to your sort of like wanting to compete, do you have an idea of when that would be, Dan?
I have absolutely no idea. I don't know, when would someone usually start a prep? Like when, like for natty shows? It would be like a good. I've always said,
Yeah, I mean like year, if that makes sense. Like, do you want to compete next year, the year after that?
Nah. I'm not big enough yet. Like I'm fully aware that I have a shit structure, like wide hip bones, like narrow shoulders. So I just can't do men's physique or even classical whatever. So like I'm gonna have to do like bodybuilding. Like so I just need a lot of size. Like I'm not gonna be
which means you need to get huge, you need to get peeled.
Yeah, that pretty much, yeah. So and I'm not under the delusion that I'm big. Like I'm not in comparison to what I need to be. Like maybe to the average person, I'm like pretty decently muscled, but like I need at least it's hard to say because like I said, my first gaining phase, I was like learning a lot. Whereas this gaining phase, I'd say like it's there from the jump. Like this is gonna be like even more productive gaining phase. Like every gaining phase is gonna be better and better realistically, but like I don't know what position I'll be in after this gaining phase. So I'd say like a minimum of 2, potentially 3 years away.
Yeah. So it might be like 25 or something like that.
Yeah, I'd say probably 25, maybe 26. It literally depends on how I grow. I'm not really fussed about like getting in as my last year as a junior. Like that was initially the plan, but like if I just feel like I won't be ready by then. I just don't think I'll be that big. Especially considering I've gone to some of these shows and people are massive as juniors. I'm like, Jesus, I ain't got a chance.
Yeah, there are some crazy physiques out there for sure.
But I don't want to go to a show just to like. If I'm honest, I don't think I'll win a show. However, I don't want to go to not be competitive. Like, I'd like to like be in the mix. I don't want to be that kid that's just stood at the fucking line at the back and third call out. No, I want to like look good when I go, especially if it's only a one-time thing. Like, what if I don't enjoy preps? Like, who knows? So I'd like to have like photos that I'm like, yeah, I'm proud of that, rather than going, oh, I'm a skinny fuck and I hated prep. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I completely get what you mean. I've also forgot what I was going to say. Oh, that's what I was going to say. You mentioned sort of about your structure. Do you think that's where some of your like interest in posing came from, is learning how to like contort your physique to make things look more appealing?
yeah, it's like a double-edged sword. Like, the poses will never look as good on me as they could look on someone that's more aesthetic. Like, and that well, there's nothing I can do about that. So I can pose the best of my ability. And it did, to some degree, it was like, right, I've got a wide waist, you know, I don't have that typical V. Like, it sort of turned sort of like I've got to do everything in my power by the time I get to stage to show up. Like, I can't change my structure, but I can put on muscle. I can come in shredded and I can be the best poser on the day. Like, why wouldn't you? Loads of people don't like it, but if I'm okay with doing it, like, it's like I'd rather look as good as I can on the day. And like, posing can win, well, not win a show, but like make up placings for sure, I think. So
Yeah, because even if you don't have quite as much muscle as the next person, if you can present what you have much better, you're going to appear bigger and that sort of thing anyway.
yeah, it's that and the amount of people I see blowing for air on stage, like, whereas like looking like confident and there the whole time, like posing cardio and actually like the pose themselves. I think although routines don't bear a weighting, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure they did at BNBF, but at UKDFBA, you see the routine before they decide the placings. So like having a good stage routine and a good confidence, I think will just put you in the judge's mind more. If they know you're going to be looking good on stage, they're going to look over to you. Like I saw at, I went to the BNBF show in, I couldn't say where, it's Birmingham maybe, where Derek competed. And like I could literally see, like you can see where the judges were sat. And like, when they did the pose down, they were all like glued to him. He placed fifth or something. So he wasn't like first, like there were good juniors there. But the judges were literally staring at him the whole time. And I'm convinced, like, don't get me wrong, he looked good. But like, I think his posing got him into the top 5. So like, why wouldn't you do it?
I feel like if you're a
Yeah.
bodybuilder and you're not extremely gifted out the gates, you're almost at an advantage. Because I know 1 or 2 guys who have insane genetics, and their entire life they've been told, oh, you know, you're made for bodybuilding, but they don't work as hard, I think, because they kind of have that like, oh, you know, genetics and all that. So if you've got someone like yourself where you're honest with yourself, maybe a bit harsh on yourself, kind of being like, I have this flaw, so I have to make up for it, you're more likely to get in there and get your sessions done and nailed. You're going to nail your nutrition. And, you know, when it comes to posing, like you mentioned, you're going to make sure that you absolutely nail it. Whereas those guys who are, you know, they think they're the cream of the crop because maybe they're not going to try as hard. So I think almost it's a beneficial thing to not be like super gifted, genetic elite almost, but
yeah, it's just scary when they're a mix of both. They're genetic,
exactly,
and they train hard. There's no beating that.
Yeah, I get what you mean though, because you see it all the time. Like you see people with really good genetics, and even though they can't stick to their nutrition plan for anything, they still look sick. And they get to the point where they're burnt out, they stop training for a month, and then within a couple of weeks, they're back to looking like one of the best guys in the gym already because they've got such good genetics. It's like,
kicking the
if
ball.
if you just tried a little bit. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, there's like a few people I've been mates with and been like, because when you're in like the gym world, you can look at someone that doesn't train and go, yeah, you've got good genetics. Like if you train, you blow up. Like you say it to them, you're just like, oh, I wish you'd get in the gym. Like you're sick. But obviously, if they've got no interest in that, then you got no business telling them that. But yeah, there are a few like genetic outliers that just train like absolute shit, and like. It annoys me so much. I can't lie. It annoys me so much because you just wish you were them, but you can't.
Yeah. You see people in their off season, in their push up, just they'll be like, yeah, beyond 5 p.m. I just kind of eat whatever I want, and they're just like shredded year round. They'll just come in and add 10 kilo to their lifts. Like that's where the calories go, and you're like, okay, nice.
Yeah, they're just diced year round, but they're still blowing up and they're somehow. And
exactly.
It's crazy.
It is absurd.
They look at a hack squat and their quads double. You're like, okay.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
So you mentioned that you've sort of got some changes when it comes to like your training now for this push up.
Yeah.
What was the like? What are those? I suppose.
Well, I suppose the biggest one is RIR, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah. That's been controversial on the Instagram.
Controversial.
It has, honest to God, the amount of people that have gone, RIR, oh, don't tell me it's RIR. Oh my
I
God.
saw that on your story, yeah.
So many. I put like a little question box. I can't remember what for. Like, what do you think this changes? I'm gonna get these up because they were actually quite funny.
Yeah, what do you think has changed about my off season this time or something, or my push up this time or something?
That was what I
oh
put.
bro, they were proper funny.
Don't tell me it's RIR.
So one of them absolutely cracked me up. Like I couldn't stop laughing at it.
Right. It was
so
primo, clearly.
there are a few. Right, I can't see the ones that were sent, but I can see the ones I replied to. So there was probably like 5 or so that said RIR or something along those lines. And then there was a good 10 plus that referenced gear, even though on the story I said, to clarify, I was not referring to becoming a big cheat in the prior story. So, but I got a lot of them. Gonna start making decent scran. You boys won't know this. I am known for diabolical meals. They just
Mate, it's absolutely absurd. So when we went to the posing seminar, right, Dan was prepping all his meals before. He's just got like chicken and rice or something like that in there. But he also has dark chocolate with that meal. And instead of like putting it in a different container or something like that, he just slams the dark chocolate in there on the hot rice. So the dark chocolate melts and disperses through the rice.
Oh,
so grim, mate.
I had no spare tub or like foil or anything. It was like, oh, it's cool enough now. And it just, it was the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten.
That's horrible.
You ate it in like 5 minutes as well.
Oh, mate, this is another thing I actually want to ask you boys about. But I never don't have an appetite. Like Luke, I know you're limited in your gaining phases by your appetite. In this diet, I didn't really get hungry until the end. Like either way the food goes, granted I haven't been to like the extremes of like dieting or whatever. I'm just like, food's just like there for me. Maybe that's why my meals are so shit, because I just do not care. Like I'll just lump it in there, eat it. I'll be like honestly, God, people like my missus, she's like, what meals do you want to go and have off plan? Like, because now I can have off plan like weekly. I'm literally like, you choose. I will eat anything and it will taste nice to me pretty much. I'm so like detached from food. I swear to God, I will eat anything.
Mate,
that's another thing that may be beneficial, like coming down from genetics as well, like not being really, really attached to food and that sort of thing, which may help you when it comes to a prep.
There's other genetics, like aside from like the muscle sort of standpoint of genetics, like how well you can recover, like how well you respond to gear, for example. Like obviously, like you don't really think about that, but maybe that is a good thing for prep. I think I'll be pretty good in prep. Like I usually just find a way that stuff works for me, and I'm not really fussed about a lot of things. You can tell by how I come across. Like I'm just quite open. Just I'll just prep would be sound for me. I think I might just not want to talk to people towards the end, but if people are like, "Oh, you got to talk to me," I'll be like, "No, see you later." Like I just detach from everything. Yeah. So maybe you're right there, Luke. Maybe that's a genetic thing I can be thankful for.
Yeah, mate, if you're fully unattached to food and just like, just chuck it in, I'll eat whatever, that's a fucking good place to be.
Yeah, it's like,
because I never really get that hungry, and then
at the end of the diet, I was like I do want other foods, but honestly, I don't care what the food was. It was just the volume of food. I was like, I'd love to eat more, but I'm not hungry and I'm all right staying on plan. But it's like, I don't care what the food is, to be fair. I'll literally scrounge anything.
Yeah, man, that's a good spot to be.
Have you got your appetite back this week, Jack?
Yep, in full effect.
Oh, Luke's done.
Luke's
definitely his Wi-Fi. His Wi-Fi is, I've been at his flat a couple of times. It is terrible.
The entire meeting, his video has been on and off. I really hope that the recording's still going. The red button's still there, so I think we're still good.
It's recording.
Did you boys get any fucking questions in the box? Because I didn't, even after Dan shouted me out.
This is what my question box looks like. Like, obviously, it's not on the story, but I can't bring it up down here.
Yeah, I don't know how to get them up.
Oh, I don't know.
I tried doing that the other day, but
Bro, what?
Welcome
Really?
back, Luke.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't get to them.
My
questions.
Wi-Fi said no.
yeah, bro. You made John the host.
I'm not quite
Classic.
sure what happened.
You backed out.
It's
Did
really
you,
annoying. I can't see them.
Luke? Did you get any questions? I got none. I got fucking none.
I know I had a couple, but I can't click on it. Like,
Can you not just
I've
go
actually
back into
got-
archive?
now
Oh,
I'm
shit.
in my archive, and look, it comes up with the little hearts. Hang on.
Mine's the same. What the fuck? I can't
Yeah,
see.
and I can't get to questions down there.
Bro, mine's the
Click on the
same.
question box.
No, it just goes to your story.
Yeah, mate. Mine's the same. Look, it doesn't. There's no
Look,
message.
that's not your
Look, it's
question
blank.
box, then, is it?
No, it is. Look, it's like over on mine, and look, if I click on it, it just goes to the next story.
Yeah, mine's bugged as well. Oh my days. I can't even see who's liked it. What?
Yeah,
I've actually
no,
got a question for once, boys. If you
Yeah,
want to attack
bro.
that.
Yeah, drop it.
So I've had a question of, do you ever find social media discouraging in terms of your own progress? So being exposed to these super jacked guys all the time, do you ever feel like it makes you question your own progress and what you're doing in terms of training or nutrition or just general lifestyle?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say not as much like the big guys, because I understand they're on gear, and I don't think I'm really ever going to do that. I'm not sure, but I never say never. But I think people more like people I'd compete against. Like, honestly, like Luke, I've looked at your physique and like sometimes gone like, am I bigger? Like, would I beat him? Like comparison syndrome, but like to people I'm actually close competition with, that's what gets me the most. Because it's like,
Yeah, I get what you
they're the
mean,
people I'm
actually.
going to compete against. Like, why would I compare myself to C-Bum? Like, I'm never going to be like that. Whereas, like, people I'm going to compete against, like, I want to win. Like, I don't want to lose, like I said earlier. So it becomes like comparison there, but you've got to kind of detach from that, haven't you?
Yeah, man. I
It will
think
be interesting. Sorry, Jack, carry on.
I was just going to say, yeah, I think that's you hit the nail on the head. The worst bit is seeing people our age just kind of doing what you're doing, but to a better degree or to a more successful degree hurts a lot more than someone who's got like 10 years on you or is in a completely different situation. But yeah, seeing people like our age you realistically be competing against, or like in the coaching scene, stuff like that, that's hard to not compare yourself to and not get like demoralized by in some cases.
One thing that demoralized me in like that sort of sense is because of like TikTok and that, 16-year-olds are getting in the gym who have good genetics and they now have like good knowledge base. Like you can learn a lot off Instagram and TikTok. Like you can train very well off that if you actually listen to the right people. And they're bigger than me. Some of these kids, they're massive. They're like the genetic. Imagine when they're my age. Like imagine the standard of like first timers in 5 years' time. It will be stupid.
It's all the Psalms, bro.
They won't be at UK the FBA though. It'll be South.
nah, mate, that's
Well,
so
yes.
true though. You're gonna have like PCA first timers or like DFBA first timers. People are like 20 years old who've been training since they were 14 and they've been optimal, dead on with everything since day one. And you'll be like, fuck.
Yeah, it's going to be, and because of TikTok's reach, like the amount of people that will have seen that and got in the gym because of that, when they realize they're like aesthetic, and then they realize, oh shit, I can actually get huge here as well.
And then
Yeah.
I have many years plus posing practice as well.
Yeah,
I think because bodybuilding is such a genetic lottery, it is really hard to not get demoralized, because it's like you can be the hardest worker and the most dead on, but that will take you as far as possible, but you might not go as far as you want, you know, because
yeah.
you're still like, or we're still us, and like chances are on average most people have average genetics, so you know it can be rough.
It's like saying whatever it is, like hard work beats talent, but when talent works hard, like
Yeah,
you're screwed.
we're all fucked, we're all doomed basically, we're all gonna
Pretty
lose.
much, yeah, these TikTok goblins are going to take us over.
I can't remember who said it, but it's like if you get somebody with good genetics,
Oh,
I didn't get a word of that, Luke.
Yeah, that cut out, bro.
You got good genetics.
Zoom just had a mega meltdown, man.
Try again, Luke.
Bro,
I
get out
can't
the
remember who
window.
said it, but it was like, it's already there. It's already there. But I remember somebody saying that if you have somebody with good genetics, you've got like a Flex Wheeler, and then you make them insane, and you get a Ronnie Coleman because they'll just like they just do mental shit in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think it's rough out there for us bodybuilders, you know, for us biddy builders.
Yeah. Luke, you
I
were
do-
gonna say something when I said about comparing myself to you. What were you gonna say?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what that was.
No, I just looked up and I was like, oh fuck, okay, cool.
No, you were gonna say something. You were gonna ask something. I bet it was something like, "Do you reckon you can beat me?"
We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah, it's true. If I'm honest, I reckon you'd beat me. I'll compete in a different year.
When he's in off season, prep then. Quick get shredded.
It's going to be interesting to see how your physique changes with the different approach, like to this off season. Even if you hate RIR and you end up going back to it, because your execution is so much better.
Yeah, the
than,
past
like,
3
6
months
months
it's
ago,
got a lot better. Yeah.
for example. So even with that alone, I think it's going to be interesting and starting from a much better point as well with more knowledge and all of that.
Yeah, I think it'll be a slower gaining phase as well. I won't have a holiday in the middle where I put on 2 kilos of fat for no reason. Like,
Oh, bro, that's nothing. That's
ideally,
nothing.
if that
Jack,
happens again,
Jack, come on, bro. This is your opportunity.
I went away with my missus and her family, and I had a holiday in the middle of a gaining phase, and I put on 9 kilo in 7 days.
What?
Yeah, bro. It's the appetite in full effect, man. Horrific.
That's nuts.
Horrific.
What?
Yeah, mate. I was sleeping in the same room as my girlfriend. I started sleeping with a t-shirt on for the last few days because I was like, nah.
That's bugs. That's impressive. Last
Yeah.
trip I went on was ski trip and I lost 3 kilos on it.
That's mad.
In the middle of a diet as well.
Bro, what?
I left at like 83. Like I came back up to maintenance, left at like 83.3, came back at like 80.5 or something like that, or 8.9. It was crazy.
I'd be gassed. Easy diet.
I
bro.
was, but I was like a malnourished child after.
How do you
Super
feel about your physique now then compared to like when you started the diet phase?
When I started the diet phase, cool. I was pretty chunky. I was, yeah. The last few
No
weeks
comment.
didn't help because it was almost like, oh, you're about to diet, get a few more off plans in. And it was just like unnecessary. But like, to be fair, it was my first structure push up. Like I said, had that 2 kg in the middle, and like now I'd have pulled back before that. Like I'd have pulled back like after the holiday or even before or something. But yeah, I was pretty chunky at the end, and it's nice to see the muscle underneath, but like you're never going to be satisfied. Like, his body dysmorphia, realistically. Like I'm like Tom was saying, like I didn't think you'd look like this at 80 kilo. And I was like, oh, I suppose that's something. And like I'm leaning.
Bro, that's what I was thinking. Like seeing how much has come off and how you look now is very, very impressive compared to how you looked, 3 months ago?
Yeah, it was like the thing is because I hold a lot of body fat on my torso. It gives like who says it? I don't know. Someone says like you're as lean as your fattest body part or something like that. And like it was true. Like you front shots are pretty much like over half of the poses that you see. Like everyone knows what a front double bicep is. That's the one you post. You just look like a blimp in one of your shots. They're just going to remember you as that size. So I did look really soft there. And eventually it's
you still had like hamstring and adductor detail before you started.
Peak off season, I had hamstring detail better than some people I see on stage. Like, but some people are just not in condition. I will say.
True.
But I was like a blimp through the midsection. Like I still hold like the only fat. Well, I say the only fat, but like the majority of my fat still is around my midsection. I've still got love handles. Like it just does not go from there. So it was like when it started coming off there, it kind of made a big difference to like the front visual, whereas the rear was like it's always lean for me. and the side shots I always look pretty competitive in because I've just got decent hamstrings. But like, yeah, it was nice to see it with the fat off, that's for sure. And I'm excited to do like a slightly slower like push up, not get like as soft as quick.
How did you
That's
find
sort of the plan for. Sorry, Jack. Carry
Sorry,
on.
now Luke, go on, bro.
Well, I was talking to Matt, and that's sort of our plan because my appetite limits me. Like, I literally 16 weeks in, I had to pull back because my appetite was dead, which is obviously not really ideal.
That's crazy.
You'd like to push for a bit longer than that. So I went from like 61 to just below 78.
Wow, yeah, that's quite a lot.
Wow.
That like period of time. So yeah, the plan is to go a little bit slower.
What? Wait, in
and then
how
just
long?
in like 16 to 20 weeks. I think
That's
it's
like a kilo a
Wait,
week.
you put on how much? At your height, that's a load to put on.
7
no
kilos.
offense,
Yes,
but like that's a lot to put on.
no, it wasn't that. No, I think I've got the time frame wrong because it
I was going to
wasn't
say
that quick.
a kilo a week at your weight is like a
Yeah,
lot.
that's nutty.
Mate, that's what I did.
That's
like,
what I was losing in my diet, and I'm taller than you. Like,
yeah, that's not right. I've definitely got the time frame wrong there. But it wasn't that long.
yeah, I get,
I'm pretty
point still.
But yeah, it was reasonably quick. So we're gonna sort of go a lot slower and then assess sort of 2 mesos in, see where my appetite's at, and if it makes sense to do some sort of quick mini cut there to make sure that the appetite is still in a decent spot. Because like literally the push up before that, I only got to 76, so 2 kilos heavier, and then had to pull back again. I would like to see 80 at some point this year, but we will see what happens.
Shouldn't chase scale weight, Luke.
Oh,
Yeah, Dan. But
That's not very
if
optimal.
huh?
That's not very optimal, mate.
You're not very optimal, bro.
You're right. I'm not. My sleep pattern is terrible.
Yeah, that is abysmal. Imagine how wham you'd be if you actually got good sleep.
Oh no, it was pretty good in first semester of uni. It's just I kind of let it slip over this New Year's period. It was just kind of like, if I'm honest, like by the end of the diet, I was like, I just do not want to die anymore. Like, fuck this. Like, get some food in me. Like, let's have a bit of fun in the gym. So it's just like everything was like falling off. It got to the point where I just didn't want to like even stand up off the sofa to go and piss. Like, I didn't really realize how low my energy levels were until I had Christmas dinner, and the next day how energized I felt. Crazy. Like, it because obviously it's like a slow decline in energy levels. After Christmas dinner, Boxing Day, I had so much energy. 3 days later, I was like, oh fucking hell, like I was in a pit there. I just did not notice it. Ski trip didn't help, but like drinks and no protein, high expenditure, no training, like that really did put me in the bin, in fairness. But like,
Yeah, that would do it, to be fair.
yeah, it's enough. I'll tell you that.
Mate, when you reach that point in the diet where like your like 10 or 12k steps starts taking like longer and longer and longer, you're like dragging yourself out of bed, you're like in bed, you need to piss, and you're like weighing up the pros and cons of pissing yourself there. Like,
Yeah,
that's when you know that
that was what slowed my wake up time down. My weigh-in, like I was always late to weigh in, and therefore my first meal was late because I just couldn't be asked to drag myself out of bed and go to the toilet and weigh in and all of that. Oh, it was terrible. It was actually terrible. I hate steps though. They're the worst.
Yeah, the
They're
steps
so
for the sake of steps.
time-consuming. I literally, when I came back from ski trip, I was like, right, I'm taking some steps out every day in favor of more cardio. I don't care about the fatigue. I was like, I'm out in Coventry doing walks when it's like 0 outside. I'm freezing right now. I'll happily do another 15 minutes on the bike to avoid this. Like, yeah, that was one of the worst parts about the diet. So I'm glad my steps are 8k now.
How did you cope with, while you were dieting, kind of becoming like a smaller person? Because obviously, like when you're invested in bodybuilding, you can get quite attached to, especially like in a hoodie like this, kind of being a big person, moving big weight. Like, how did you feel kind of, coming down in size a little bit?
Well, it was a weird one because like I just couldn't see it coming off me until like I looked back like a month at a time, and then there were like noticeable things like the belt I use is just at the gym I train at, and like I now at the end of the diet I didn't fit into like the last hole. Like it's not enough to brace. Like I need to wear a hoodie to like then brace. Some trousers started fitting again, some shirts started fitting again. I was like, oh okay, this is pretty good. But at the same time, it was like some clothes, I'm like, I'm not filling out this sleeve anymore. Like I have like a go-to black t-shirt for a night out because I just don't care if it gets ruined. And it's just a Primark muscle fit one. And I used to look massive at like peak gaining phase because my arms were like looking pretty decent. But then I wore it out for a night out. I was like, oh my God, there's like an inch gap here. This is terrible. So I didn't deal with that side very well. But now it's all right. Now I've had some carbs. Now I'm a bit fuller. It's like, I'm like, oh, this is decent. Like I'm excited to get like, a bit bigger now.
So have you got sort of this week at maintenance and then you're going into a surplus?
Yeah, I think the plan is 2 weeks maintenance. And then, so I'm about a week in. And then if I'm honest, that hasn't been like completely on plan. So it's instead of like if it fits your macros, it's been almost like if it fits your calories. Like at the moment, I'm just like trying to enjoy some like food. So if it means like eating something that's offered to me, like I'll have that and I'll likely go over my fats because they're only at 45 grams and like 10, 15 of that's in the pre-meal. Like I end up over, but I'll just reduce the carbs. So it's just like maintenance calories. But I'd say this week I'll probably be a bit stricter on that and just make sure I have a bit more carbs and actually like get some proper fullness. And then I think the plan from there is to split like macros out into training day, rest day. Because at the moment they're 2,700 every day. But then I'll split into like training day, rest day, and then I guess that's where it will be like the business end of like my first RRR meso because I'm on week 1 now, and then by that point it'll be week 3. So getting towards like failure training again.
Yeah, it'll probably be like you'll just sort of see where you fall in terms of how many weeks you can do.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that because I've never really deloaded. Like my deloads have come from like life, if you get me. Like if I've got a holiday, like I'm gonna deload, like stuff like that. I've never really had a deload where I've sat around or like, you know, just got my steps in, ate normal food. Like my last deload was ski trip, and that's why my diet put me in the bin at the end because it was worse than a week of training for like recovery. So like I'm excited to have like deloads more frequently, but I still think like Tom was like, you won't get to week 5. I was like, I'll get to week 5, mate. Like, don't worry.
What's your sort of volume escalation looking like?
So I don't know yet, really.
Oh,
Like,
is he
I don't
just
know
adding it
much
week by
about
week?
RIR. Yeah, so I guess my check-in's on Friday. So yeah, that'll be like where I see the first week of volume escalation. So I've just got like the first layer of it right now, just like literally the training plan. Like this is my first week setting baseline numbers for this RIR meso. So I guess next week I'll see what happens. I have a rough gist of what will happen. Like I know the focus is like, it sounds like a lot to focus on, but quads, lats, top line, and what was the other one? Abs. So that's quite a lot to focus on. But like, yeah, that'll be where most of the volume goes to, I reckon. So, but I'm excited to see what it's like, to be fair.
If he's saying you're not going to make it to week 5, I reckon he's just going to add a set to absolutely everything going into week 10.
No, see, this is like the thing I don't know. I don't know much about RIR training at all. So I have absolutely no idea what's in the story, which is quite exciting to just like blindly trust someone. But I do trust Tom. And then I'm kind of
Yeah, it's like a whole new thing to learn again, isn't it?
Yeah, it literally is. It's like starting with a new coach. Like it was with Reese, that was learning failure. This is like I'm learning RIR. So it's so weird. I'm excited to start like the second meso where, because like for example, Smith squats yesterday. I looked back at the video because I'd never done them before. I was like, well, like in recent years, and I looked at the video. I was like, oh, that's 3-4 RIR. I'm excited to see when I actually go to failure with a spot, like how much RIR was that? Like I wouldn't be surprised if I'm up like a good 6 reps. Like first time doing it, got a 5 repper. As stability comes back up, as I get used to the movement, like that could shoot up 7 reps, and my RL could be like my 2 RL could be like 10 reps next time. Like who knows? So
Yeah, I get what you mean. How have you found gauging it?
On upper, pretty easy. Like if I genuinely say there's probably been like 4 sets over 2 upper sessions where I've gone like that might be 3 RIR, that might be 1 RL instead of 2. But for the most, obviously you never know, but like for the most part, I'd say pretty accurate on there. And then legs yesterday, the thing is, not all my movements are RIR. So like arms, side delts, abs and calves, they're all failure because you're not going to build up that much fatigue. Whereas like, so on my leg day, I had 2 ab exercises, then a calf exercise. Then I only had adductor, a seated ham giant set, and then what did I have? hyperextension, then Smith squat. So it was like
Smith squats.
yeah. So I had adductor was easy to gauge it on because I had my numbers for it already. Seated ham giant set, I've only moved to like, you know, the was it Life Fitness or Gym 80 or something? Gym 81 maybe at Future. I've just moved to that, so I don't really
Gym
have
80, yeah.
numbers. So that ended up being 26 reps when I was aiming at 15 to 20 for the first part of the giant set. So judging RIR on that was really hard because it was almost like mental at that point and like how much blood can I take in my hamstrings. So judging that was quite hard. Hyperextension, never done it. Judging that was quite hard. Smith squats, never done it. Judging that was quite hard. So maybe when I got into like hack or like leg extension that I've used before, might be a bit easier. And that'll be in 2 days' time. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's always harder to tell on stuff that you haven't done properly before.
Yeah. It feels weird though. I will say that, like, getting to the point in a set where you're like, okay, this is where you kind of got to like be mentally there, and then going, oh no,
Yeah.
now.
And then you stop. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's
It's
weird.
like this is just about to get excited and then you stop.
Yeah, it's like I found on some sets, it's like maybe it's taken away from like not the quality of the work, but like how continuous a set could be. Because I'm kind of there, like instead of thinking about next rep, like brace, pause, go, it's sort of like, oh, how many RIR have I got left? Like, oh, is that 2? Maybe not. And I'll pause at the top for like a second thinking, is that 2 or should I go again? And like, so sometimes sets get a bit affected by that. But other than that, it's been all right.
Yeah, once you've gone through that first meso and you've got an idea of, okay, vaguely where was failure last time, then you can just pull a few reps off or a bit of weight off and go from there. I think it's first time when it's a new movement and it's a new intensity scheme, it's always hard to say. But like you said, man, you know, as you get more familiar with it, you'll adjust and get used to it. And I think you'll get a better feeling for it intuitively.
Yeah, I think so as well.
What I traditionally do sort of going into the next meso is I'll take like, say, week 3 loads if I did 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then that tends to be sort of matching the same amount of reps, if that makes sense, to RIR.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Like I haven't thought about that. I just thought I'd probably just take the same load as week 4, see how many reps I get on it, and then just go from there. But that just seems like the most.
Yeah, the only issue I found with that in the past is obviously if it was like 8 reps in the last week and then you take 2 off that, you're then on like a 6 rep for your first set.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And obviously it depends if that's appropriate for the movement.
Yeah, I'll kind of see based on numbers. I'd like to think I'd be able to like gauge what once I've done it to failure, like I'll be able to gauge what like a good set for like 2 RIR will be, and then go from there. But yeah, like you say, if you're using week 3 stuff, then it makes sense because then by the time you're back at week 4 on that meso, you'll definitely be beating it. So that's one thing I like about it is like some sets, like especially on like the hack and stuff like that, the big sets, God, the anxiety of trying to beat like last week's numbers was like sometimes it was really getting to me. So that's kind of what I like about RL. Like I'm going to progress next week because it'll be closer to failure. Like
Yeah, you literally know that the progression is there because you could have done it last week.
yeah, that's quite nice. Like I said, the Cybex hack, like it's like you can fuck your brace on 1 rep if you're taking like a 7 repper or something like that. A lot of people do low rep sets when they train to failure as well. Like you fuck your brace, like that's it. That's your set for the week. You're done. It's like I did not like that feeling, so I won't miss that.
Yeah, I get what you mean, bro.
Yeah, man.
Some very, very good points there.
Anyone got any final questions? John, did you have any more questions, bro? You came out with a banging one before that social media
yeah.
one.
Just the one, unfortunately.
No worries, man.
One and done.
Shout out that
One
Done.
hit wonder.
Yeah, one hit wonder.
Wash. Yeah, I wish I had more questions, guys, but I've been let down by my audience. If you're listening to the podcast right now, you better all give us a question next week.
If you've made it this deep into the podcast, we'll be impressed.
Yeah. Send us a message, bong20, for 20% off your nearest bong shop.
Bong 20.
For God's sake.
Fantastic.
Any
They're not gonna understand that
closing words
reference
of wisdom?
if we're
man?
trimming that bit out.
Yeah, exactly. But no one will hear it, so it's fine.
If they get to this point and they reference that to any of us in the DMs, we'll tell you what it's about. How's that?
We'll leak the footage.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine by me.
I would have said it to Tom.
Is this optimal?
Send it to me as well. It's quite funny.
Yeah, good. So any closing words of wisdom for the audience, Dan? Anyone that's suffered through this?
Wrap your willy, don't be silly.
Oi.
That's
Yeah,
gonna
good
be
way
my-
to end it. Thank you very much. See you all.
Cheers, guys.